Who would want to face discrimination over their true identity? Hello, my name is Helen Herrera, candidate number 5046. Today I will be discussing how the transgender community is being affected in their day-to-day lives. Over the course of time, my team and I, Jahara Davis and Adeline Gill, have gathered enough information on how the lives of the members of the transgender community are being affected. My presentation will be based on the political perspective of effects on the transgender community. My teammate Jahara Davis will be covering the cultural perspective, and Adeline Gill will be focusing on the ethical perspective, respectively. The United States Congress uses their authority to overall shape and better America. On the contrary, Congress is seen to be abusing their power by making some discriminatory laws towards the transgender community with the mindset that they are helping society. One of the most effective laws in Florida is the Safety and Private Spaces Act. Overall, this act limits the use of restrooms and changing facilities, making it determined by gender, meaning the opposite sex will not be able to enter the designated rooms pertaining to the other sex. The next law mentioned is the Senate Bill 254. This bill does not allow sex reassignment prescriptions and procedures for patients younger than 18 years old, proceeding to make the department responsible punish the healthcare practitioner, suspending their license, and arresting them for having anything to do with committing these previously stated violations. It may also restrict these prescriptions for adults and take the child into temporary custody if they are receiving this care. The next law comes from a memo by the Florida Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles. This department sent out a memo prohibiting Florida transgender residents to change the gender that was listed on their driver's license or state ID. If changed, it will count as fraud, and those individuals will be subjected to criminal and civil penalties, including cancellation, suspension, or revocation of the individual's license. A related bill would be the HB 1233. This bill, submitted by Republican State Representative Dean Black, requires residents to sign an affidavit that certifies that the gender on their applications for driver's licenses and identification cards match what is stated in their original birth certificate. All of these laws could fit under human right violations, legal and policy implications, and health disparities. As you may see on this slide, this image is representing the hope of transgender Floridians as they are protesting against the new ID rule. Their protesting signs describe what is happening as hate and something that kills them. A quote from an ABC News article published in February of 2024 saying that, quote, officials are using policy to eliminate transgender people from public life, unquote. This statement represents the overall input from civil liberty and LGBTQ groups. To continue, this next picture is identifying the handful of places in Florida that provide protection amongst the discrimination relating to sexual orientation or gender identity, referring to employment in Florida as of 2019. In the same ABC News article, Kiara Alfonseca includes another bill by the name of HB 599. This bill states that an employee may not provide an employer with their personal title or pronoun if they do not correspond with their sex traits, and the employer and fellow employees are not required to refer to the person's preferred title or pronouns. Another article posted on the Muse in June of 2020 by S.E. Fleener states that, in summary, the National Center for Transgender Equality's U.S. Transgender Survey reports that 27% of transgender individuals who had a job or had applied for one in the survey year claimed that their gender identity or expression had led to their termination, denial of a promotion, or rejection from employment. Now, not only are they unable to change their listed gender on their Florida state ID, but they are also facing challenges to find a job and make a peaceful living. These prohibitions fall under economic exclusion. An article posted by the American Academy of Pediatrics in June of 2019 tested whether the act of schools restricting transgender and non-binary students from using the restrooms and or locker rooms that match their gender identity has something to do with the 12-month prevalence of sexual assault victimization. This article's method was a constructed survey made for 3,673 transgender and non-binary U.S. kids between the grades 7 through 12. Results pertaining to the schools who said that they weren't allowed to use the restrooms that best fit the adolescents' gender identity had a significantly higher chance in having been sexually assaulted. Now, the workers of the study are not completely sure if these restrictions have anything to do with these results, but this study does highlight the rising issue of sexual assault towards transgender youth and the impact that the school's role has on this. This slide includes a legislative risk map towards transgender adults from the month of March 2024. The colors distinguish different types of risk in between states, as you can see right here. Throughout the TikTok posted by Erin in the Morning, laws are being identified and states are being called out. The states in red mean that they have the worst laws passed yet, such as no gender reassignment on IDs or bathroom and locker room bans. The dark blue states are identified as the safest place as the states declare themselves sanctuaries towards the transgender community. On this slide, as you can see, there's a lot more red, and this map is pertaining to the youth transgender community. The TikTok also explains that most of the states have been polarized into these into either extreme anti-trans behavior or provide protection of transgender people. All states in red have passed gender-affirming caravans for transgender youth, whilst the dark blue essentially codified the right to obtain this health care. The dark blue places have made their states into sanctuary states, though the orange states have not decided on what to do. In places outside the US, such as Canada, Uruguay, New Zealand, and the Netherlands, all deal with transgender discrimination differently. Transgender rights have advanced in Canada in a big way. Human rights laws in a number of provinces and territories specifically prohibit discrimination on the basis of gender identity and expression. Furthermore, the government of Canada has implemented measures to encourage the integration of transgender people in a number of fields such as education and healthcare. Moving on, in 2018, Uruguay enacted a comprehensive transgender rights law that grants transgender individuals access to healthcare that is gender affirming, the ability to change their legal gender identity, and favorable treatment in the workplace and educational system. Restitution for prior violations of transgender people's human rights is another provision of the law. Next, regarding transgender rights, the Netherlands is renowned for its comparatively accepting stance. Without a court order or medical assistance, the nation permits people to change their legal gender marker through a simple administrative process. Through its public healthcare system, the Netherlands also offers access to gender-affirming medical care, such as hormone therapy and surgery. Lastly, in order to support transgender equality and inclusion, New Zealand has taken action. In the year of 2020, the country passed the Human Rights Amendment Act, which forbids discrimination on the basis of gender identity and expression. New Zealand offers access to gender-affirming medical care as well. There is no specific solution for this issue of transgender discrimination. What is needed is a multi-pronged strategy that combats transgender discrimination, including legal changes, campaigns to raise public awareness, and some designed to undermine cultural beliefs, and increase access to healthcare and customs that uphold prejudice and stigma against transgender people. These are my references. Thank you so much.